Hey everyone, so I'm going to kind of show a quick way to do pumpkins. So this is one I made earlier today. It's just a simple half double crochet um, and quickly sewn together with a little cinnamon stick in there. And it has, you can also, if you don't have cinnamon sticks at home, you could also go outside and search for a twig, or I've seen them with wine corks in them. That's another option. So that was one. I did this one in this kind of mustard yellow velvet. It's the Brene velvet yarn. It turned out really pretty. I like very fall colors. So I'm making a second one, and I'm using two colors. So I have like this, I think this is called like sunshine yellow Brene velvet, and then this mustard yellow. Those are the two I'm using. So I'm actually just knitting them together at the same time. So to make this pumpkin, you can kind of adapt it to whatever works for you, but basically you just need to make a long rectangle. This one is going to be larger. This one was shorter, and I did a half double crochet seed stitch for this one. I'm just doing a regular half double crochet for this pattern. So you can kind of see these like little ridges here. Those are with the regular half double crochet, and this one is more seamless without the ridges. So I'll show you kind of just a brief half double crochet tutorial, and then I'll show you how to assemble. So again, to make this, you can kind of determine how big you want it when you're making your chains. So I'm making this to, like, this is the size of the pumpkin, so how round and how wide you want your pumpkin to be, and then this will be sewn together as the top, and this will be sewn together as the bottom, if that makes sense. So when you're chaining, however many chains you want to do, it will kind of determine how wide your pumpkin will be, or how round, how big or round it will be. So with this pumpkin, we're going to do the half double crochet. So as you can see, I have both strands, and I'm just working them at the same time. So it can make it a little, if you're new to crochet, it does make it a little bit harder. But so you always want to find, put him in the camera, you always want to find, you know, so that the seed stitch on the other one, so what I did with that is you would yarn over, and then you would do the stitch right under here, so this big opening, and then pull through all three like that. So that's the seed stitch. But for this one, so that would be the other pumpkin. For this one, I want to make sure that I am going into this stitch here. So there's kind of like this little V, and you want to go into that stitch. So you yarn over, and then yarn over again and pull through, and then you have 3 stitches on your hook, and you're going to pull through all 3 of those at once to do the half double crochet. So that's all it is. And then you yarn over again, go through, yarn over, pull through, and I have 3 stitches, and then yarn over again and pull through. So yarn over, go through the stitch, pull through, yarn over. Yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3 stitches, 3 loops, I guess. Yarn over, through the stitch, and then yarn over again, pull through, again 3 stitches on, and yarn over, and pull through all 3. Yarn over. So again, when you're starting, you have only the 1 stitch on, you're going to yarn over, that'll give you your 2nd stitch, and then put through the last stitch. It's kind of sometimes a little difficult to get it in there. And then yarn over, which will give you the 3. 1, 2, 3. And then to do the half double, you yarn over again, pull through all 3. So to start a new row, you're gonna wanna, you're gonna turn your, so you're gonna, whenever you're doing a half double crochet, you're gonna chain 2 at the beginning, and then turn over your work. And then we'll do one more row and I'll call this one done. And this yarn is really soft. This Vernay velvet is really soft to work with, but it can be a little slippery, and especially when you have 2 different yarns, and it can be gotta make sure you always grab the 2. All right, so that was my last row I'm going to do for this pumpkin. So I'm going to just pull this through and fasten it off. I'm going to leave some really long strings at the end, just so that I have extra to kind of finish sewing the pumpkin together. I may leave more than I actually need, but it's probably better to have more than not enough. So I will cut that off. And then I need to, finish. I'll just pull through that yarn all the way through and fasten that. So this is my finished rectangle. So you can make your pumpkins. So again, this is kind of how round it's going to be. And then I did make it, you know, a little taller than because it's going to be kind of squished down once you get everything sewn together. And then, you know, you can make it a tall pumpkin or a shorter pumpkin. It's kind of, you can definitely customize this to however you want. So the next thing you'll need to do is we're going to sew the seam together. So I will take just one of these strings down here at the bottom, and you can kind of decide which, if you want one side to be the top or the bottom, however you prefer. So I just do kind of a simple stitch to, you can also do a slip stitch along the seam, but sometimes it's easier just to do a quick sewing. This part will be at the top of the pumpkin, so no one's going to see that anyways. So there you go. You can kind of flatten it out. And so this is how round my pumpkin will be. All right, so next, let's see, we'll do the bottom. So in the bottom, I have this string down here. So this is basically just like a cinch. I'm going to cinch up the bottom. That's the best way to describe it. So I just kind of weave the needle in and out of the stitches at the bottom, and then kind of as I go, and then you're going to just kind of cinch it and pull it tight. And keep going. I have decided that this is going to be the bottom of my pumpkin. So I'm going to sew this hole that's right here kind of closed by just doing some basic simple stitches like across, and make sure that the hole is closed up and the stuffing, so stuffing that I put in later, the next step won't come out. So I just kind of tighten it and however you want to do that. All right, one more. And then I'll just try and do like a simple little knot here to fasten it off. And I won't cut this string at all. So this whole time you're not cutting any strings. You're just leaving those to use at the next step. So looks kind of funny. It almost looks like a hat at this point, but it will look more like a pumpkin soon. So that's the beginning. Now it's ready to be stuffed. And then we'll cinch up the top, and then we'll add little seams on the edges. So the next step is filling. So you can get this fiber fill from anywhere. You just stuff your pumpkin. Hopefully I have enough for this pumpkin. Might need to make another trip soon. Guess I'll just use it all. Alright, so here's my pumpkin. You can overstuff it to make it stiffer, you can keep it more loose, however you want to do it. And I just kind of keep mine more loose, since that's all I have. Alright. Okay, so now it's time to sew up the top. So this is kind of how it looks so far. So I'm going to just take one of the long strands that I had cut some really long ones when I finished. So we'll just do the same thing we did before and cinch up the top. Kind of push it down without pulling too hard. If you break your yarn, that will not be good either. Alright, so that's basically how you cinch up the top. So the bottom, remember I had kind of closed shut this one. Since this is where your stem is going to be, you don't need to cinch it as closed. You want it to be close, have a pretty small hole, but you want to leave some space for whatever stem you're going to put in. Alright, so the next steps are, I'm just going to kind of secure this a little bit better. Put like a little knot in, just to be sure that it's secure. Alright, so you can kind of see that when you cinch it, it kind of naturally puckers a little bit along the edges. So I just kind of follow those puckers to make the ridges of the pumpkin, we'll call them. And you can kind of play with them and make them bigger or however you want to do it. And you can make as many ridges as you want. So basically what you do is you take one of the long strings and you just go all the way down to the bottom, and then I will sew in through the bottom so that you have something to kind of secure it at the bottom, and then you pull it tight, and you want to pull it tight to kind of make that ridge, and it will look kind of funny until you get a bunch of them done. But so I'm going to pull mine pretty tight because I want it to be pretty defined ridges, I guess you could call them. So pull mine tight, and then I'm going to do it right up along the other side as well. And I'll put the yarn, the needle through at the top to again kind of secure it. And Alright, so again, you're going to pull that side tight. So I have this side that I started on, there's extra strings there, and then it went all the way around to the other side. So it's getting secured. Alright, and then I'm going to do another one. So I'm just going to keep using the same string since it's so long. And actually, before I go on to the next, I'm going to just secure this one so it doesn't become any looser while I'm doing the other side. So I'm just going to put a little knot on top here. You can secure it in other ways too. That's just my easy go-to. Can't really see it anyways, so. And you don't have to do this, it just helps me feel like it's a little bit more secure. Okay, so I'm going to just go along this ridge next. So I'll put my needle in, again just to give it kind of a stable point. And I'm going to go all the way around the edge here, just kind of lay my yarn as I go. And then I will put the needle in at the bottom point. It gets a little tough when it starts to get tighter down there. And then again, just, you can also kind of move it before you make it tight, or if you don't like it or you want to move it again, you can kind of loosen it, just kind of play with it. But so there's our first little ridge. So I'm going to just tighten it a little bit more. Keep tightening it, but again, you want to do it slowly, kind of gently, just because you don't want to do it so tight or pull so hard that you break your yarn. Sometimes this velvet yarn can be a little bit more fragile than other yarn like cotton or acrylics. Wool, you know, it might be a little bit more fragile, so just be careful. So there's my ridge. All right, so there's the first. Yeah, this is my third one, and I'm gonna just continue. So I just kind of secured it a little bit. I'm gonna go right up along this edge and bring it right in here and put my needle through the top again. Oops, if I can get it in there. Once you get your yarn in there, you just kind of pull it tighter. And actually, I'm going to adjust mine a little bit because I think I want it to be a little closer to this one, just so I can have some more defined ridges. You can kind of puff out your yarn a little more too if it's, just kind of play with it as you go. So there's my ridge. I'm just securing it again with kind of a little knot so it doesn't get loose on me. Alright, so it's looking a little strange still, but it's coming along. I would say you can do however many ridges you want. It also might depend how big your pumpkin is, but I would at least try and do like, let's see, I think this one has 4 different, or sorry, 4 on each side, 8 different little ridges. So, and I kind of like how that looks, so I'll probably do the same here. You could do even more. You could just do 4 if you want. It's kind of however you want your pumpkin to look. I'm going to do one right down the middle here. Okay, still have plenty of yarn on this string, so I'm just going to go right down the middle again. Extra yarn. Oops. To my camera. Alright. And I'm just going to pull it tight again. Oh, and see, there you go. I broke my yarn. Well, there you go. It goes to show that it can be a little fragile. So, one thing I didn't let it go. So I'm going to try and save my yarn. Maybe I'll see. Maybe I'll just tie a knot and then I can secure it better. So, did exactly what I told you not to do, is pull too tight. That's okay. I think I saved it. So anyway, so there's that other ridge. Try to pull it a little tighter without breaking it. Alright, so I'm going to secure this. Just so simple little knot, hopefully. My yarn is getting there. Okay. And alright, there we go. All right, so there's like basic stitches, and then I'm going to weave some of these ends in. In fact, I'm going to probably just snip a lot of these off and then kind of secure them, and I'm probably just going to even just tuck them right in this hole. There's a few, there's one at the bottom here that I will sew in a little more. So I'll just kind of snip them off here. And I'm just gonna do some like kind of basic simple knots, because this yarn and everything just hides everything so well. I'm just gonna make it easy on myself. And then just kind of tuck it in here. You can definitely sew your ends in more if you want to, however you want to do it. Actually, I'm gonna use one of these and do one more little knot with this one, just because, like I said, it hides it so well. There, okay. And then, there we go. And then I do have one more. I will do that. I don't need to show you all that, but I have I grabbed one of these and can just kind of stick it in there. You can use a hot glue gun too or something to kind of finish it off, but there you can see the top of my pumpkin, the sides, and you can kind of squish it down more or fluff it up, however you want to do it, but there's my little pumpkin. Thanks for watching. Here's it next to the